Good afternoon, everyone. We're 3 o'clock sharp here. We're going to get started. We've got a lot of information to cover today. Thank you for joining us, whether you're in the cottage, in the apartment, and or here in the fellowship hall, or whether you are joining us via the video tonight. Thank you for tuning in and listening to some information about Cedarfield. If anybody that's listening to this video tonight has any questions about the information, or really anyone has any information following this live chat, please feel free to call down to the administration suite, and we'll get to any and all of your questions just as soon as we can. It's just Allison and I this week down there. Eleanor's on vacation, so bear with us as we usually get about 35 to 40 questions after every live chat. So bear with us this week since we are without Eleanor this week. But thank you for joining in. Pinnacle Advantage members, if you're listening to this video tonight too, thank you for joining in. And I'm just going to start off on a personal note. I went to go get my booster shot. Got my booster. And I didn't have to hold anyone's hand when I did it. At Walgreens on Saturday night. Throughout all of last week, I was keeping tabs on the particular websites. And one of the things that was striking to me on CVS and Walgreens websites, with really all the stores up and down Broad Street, is there is just a lot of availability, a lot of appointments. Practically every 15 minutes, these stores up and down Broad Street, particularly Walgreens, since they have the Pfizer, have lots of slots that are open. And so if you've been following some of the research here that's been on some of the main news channels, hopefully you've come to understand that given your body genetics, at this point, 6 months after your second shot, you're probably 60 to 70% have an effective rate for COVID-19. And so while Cedarfield does plan to have a clinic right here in the fellowship hall, if you want to go take advantage of that booster shot that's already out there in the marketplace, I would encourage you to do so. Team members that are listening to this live chat and or video, I really just had to show my Cedarfield badge, let them know that I work at a nursing home, and I did not get questioned beyond that. So, and I would just say that the first 2 shots I received in March, I was really hurting, but this third booster shot, Saturday morning rolled around and I got up and went about my day. So take advantage of what's out there, and if not, just know that we are working with Remedy, our pharmacy downstairs. Remedy has a contract. They have 13 contracts, Remedy does, with various pharmacies. One of the contracts is with Giants Food Pharmacy. And so that is the pharmacy that has been assigned to Cedarfield. So we are awaiting word from that particular pharmacy of when they have availability of pharmacists and pharmacy techs to come on site here and deliver the booster shot and the flu shot. We're going to do both on the same day. Since the CDC and the Virginia Department of Health have researched and are comfortable with both of those shots done simultaneously. So we'll do that here at Cedarfield. Hopefully we'll hear word, hopefully this week, of when those folks will be available to us here in the next 30 days. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to, like I said, to call down to the administration suite about the booster shot. Here regionally, the 7-day positivity rate, some good news, went down over this past week. In Henrico County, that 7-day positivity rate is 5.5%. Last week it was 6.5%, and 2 weeks prior to that it was actually at 7.9%. So that's all that is good news. Richmond City is at 7.5%. Chesterfield is at 8.1%. Hanover is at 8.2%. And Goochland is at 5.6%. Many of you have probably seen this following statistic because channels 3, 6, and 10 publish this often. The state positivity rate is 8.3%, and that's down from last week this time of 9.1%. So that's good news. At Cedarfield, we do have one case of COVID-19. It happens to be a breakthrough case for this particular team member. This team member became sick, but the prior 4 days he was not at Cedarfield. So this is it's not even an exposure for us. The person is doing well and expected to return back to work the beginning part of next week. But thankfully, that is our only situation. Residents, contractors, and every other team member is free and clear of this horrible disease. So that's good news. One note I did want to share that we received, speaking of COVID-19 evolving preparedness plan, we did receive a note from the Henrico County, the Division of Fire, and they wrote us a letter along with every other facility administrator. And I'm just going to read the opening paragraph of this letter. It's a three-page letter, but the initial paragraphs really says it all. So I don't mean to be an alarmist when I'm about to read. This is just fact of what's going on in the Division of Fire. We communicated changes to our response policy due to the evolving pandemic situation. We are writing this letter to advise you that the hospitals in the Metro Richmond area have been in a condition called Code Black since August 17th. During this condition, our EMS providers are required to call the patient distribution center to receive a designation hospital. The patient distribution center is a constant form of communication with the hospitals, and they are monitoring bed availability at all of these hospitals. Specialty resources include ventilators, cardiac cath labs, stroke care, trauma, and pediatric capabilities. Please be advised that due to this situation called Code Black, your resident in your retirement community, nursing home, or assisted living may be transported anywhere in the metro region depending upon patient condition and regional availability. Unfortunately, we do not anticipate Code Black to end in the near future. So just a word of caution. What does that mean? For those of you that have a hospital designated on your face sheet and have a particular interest, probably St. Mary's Hospital, Henrico Parham, or Henrico Forest, depending upon your situation, you may go to another hospital in the Metro Richmond area. To date, we have not found any of these diversions to other hospitals to be problematic for any residents. In fact, the residents that we have known to go through other hospitals have been receiving great care while either in the ambulance and or at one of these hospitals that are a little bit more distant than a 5-mile radius. So, but did want everyone to be aware that that situation is right in front of us. So, okay, Jack, you wanna? Jack is up next to talk a little bit about tonight's water shutdown.
Good afternoon. Wanted to cover a quick friendly reminder about tonight's plumbing repairs for the independent living side. So beginning at 8 p.m. tonight, the hot and cold water supply will be interrupted so that these repairs can be made. We have 3 leaks on the second floor that we have three leaks on the second floor that we're going to repair tonight that will require us to shut the water off, drain the system, make these repairs, and then refill everything and purge air and stuff. So it's going to take a while. Let's see. Our partnering contractor, ACI, will be performing the repairs. While a few of our maintenance team members, DJ and myself, will be here to manage the draining and refilling, and when the repairs are complete, make sure everything's up and running properly. So we estimate that the interruption will last till about 6 a.m. If you have any questions or concerns, please call us at 474-8806. And we'll be happy to answer any questions. You have a question?
Yes. Well, we have to turn the water on and let it go for a while when it comes back.
Yes. So the question is once the water's back on, will we need to turn our faucets and things on? That would be good to help purge the air. When you get up in the morning, just turn the faucet on for 30, 45 seconds or so. Until any air that's in the line purges. And there again, if you have any problems or anything, give us a call at the 474-8806, and we'll get out and get it straightened out. So thank you very much, and it should go pretty smoothly. We've been planning this for 3 or 4 weeks now. We have lots of people involved, so looking forward to get it all taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. So the other thing, Jack, is if anybody has a hard time sleeping tonight, whether they're in a cottage or the main building, and you want to come down and watch some master plumbers fix these 3, it is really a sight to be seen to watch them with this particular equipment, and especially given the size of this pipe. So come on down and bring down your cup of tea and watch these master plumbers do their trade. I got a couple of hodgepodge of tidbits here. Matt's going to come up and talk a little bit about health services, and then I'll round out this live chat with some other administrative updates. Dining services Atrium Cafe seems to be going pretty well at nighttime. If you haven't experienced the customer service down there, I would encourage you to do so. The mighty team of 2 are really holding the fort down Monday through Friday for dinner. We just hired a couple of people in dining services, and hopefully we get through the background checks and the orientation process, and thinking about, now that we have these other couple people, announcing probably in the next week or 2 of moving to lunchtime too, and a little bit into the weekend. So it looks like the Atrium Cafe is getting back to normal. But we served 60 people on average last week at dinner. So it's, as we all knew, It's a hub of activity. It's a critical amenity, and it's just great to have it back in place. Little couple tidbits about human resources. You might have recalled from a couple of weeks ago, I shared that Cedarfield usually employs about 292 FTEs, full-time equivalents, to manage 100 acres 7 days a week. That's what our budget takes. And due to this workforce pandemic, we were down to 2 weeks ago about 265 FTEs. Of that 265, we lost 11 people due to not wanting to receive the vaccine. Some good news in the last week. We gained 13 people. We are a mighty team of 278 FTEs now, with significant strides in dining services. For those of you that are watching tonight and or today, we hired 3 cooks. So 2 of them are in Morning Glory, and the other 2 are going to help with a transition. Hopefully this 4th cook pans out. I might be knock on wood here. The 2 other cooks are going to help with the first transition of residents moving from the 4th floor, otherwise known as our institutional nursing home, up to our 5th floor household building, due to move on November 8th. So we're pretty excited about that. But we've made strides in many different areas. Housekeeping, we just had an orientation class this morning, and there were 8 people in that orientation class. So the team is working very hard, finding creative ways to attract people to the community. So when I think about those numbers, we're about 8% off of plan. I would be very encouraged if you're listening today to that number, when we fact that we have restaurants still shut down from a year and a half ago, that we're only 8% off of plan. So if anybody has any questions about that, feel free to stop down. Did want to make reference to a couple of anniversaries, work anniversaries that we have this month. If you all don't know, you should know Cheryl Kyle. She's our music therapist. This month she is celebrating her 20th year at Cedarfield. James Torres is celebrating 1 year at Cedarfield. James is in the Wellness and Lifestyles Department. Ty Jones in Transportation is celebrating 1 year. And Haley Goldstone, Jessica Myers, Shakira Brown, and Marquis Nelson are also celebrating 1 year, dining services and in the healthcare department. So if you see those folks, please pat them on the back and thank them for living out their vocation at Cedarfield. My gossip squasher moment of the day has to do with, I'm going to put the spotlight on myself right now, has to do with me and a rumor going around campus that Michael's just not telling us the truth. So here's the truth. I have full intentions of having our wellness clinic open forever. Ann Hopper and Bonnie Berry do an amazing job. So did everybody else before them that operated that clinic. Ann and Bonnie will continue to do a great job in that clinic. The clinic is not shutting down. I don't have any intentions of that. Could you please squash that rumor? Could we also please squash the rumor that Cedarfield and Pinnacle Living has brought about Affirmation Home Health just because that Helping Hands is heading in a different direction? That also is a rumor, and I'm here to squash it. And the other rumor that I wish to squash is that Health Pro Heritage, our outpatient therapy, is on the way out the door. So please squash that rumor. So all that to be said, Matt Dameron and I, over these next couple of weeks, we're going to have little weekly live chats, but they're not going to be on Wednesdays. And they're going to be late. You're going to start to see them on Touchdown, and they're going to be labeled navigation chats. We keep talking about navigation. We published this document a couple of months ago now, 2 months ago. And Matt and I are going to talk about 5 particular items that are actually the strength of Cedarfield, so that we're all proud of what we have and what these service lines are offering residents. So we're going to have these navigation chats live here, or people can come into the fellowship hall and ask us questions around the following 6 amenities at Cedarfield. 1 is Helping Hands. 2 is outpatient therapy with Health Pro Heritage. 3rd is home health. What is home health therapy? What are the services of the wellness clinic? That's the 4th item. The 5th item is what is home care? And then the 6th topic is what is this Medicare Part A inpatient neighborhood they keep talking about? So all of these 6 amenities, I think, we're commingling a lot of these services, and we want to go on a campaign. The antidote to fear and miscommunication is get in front of everybody, tell everybody the truth, the facts of what these service lines represent. So you're going to see, like I said, on Touchdown, navigation chats to talk about these particular 6 service lines. They are the strength of Cedarfield. This safety net I keep talking about helps people to continue to live independently, and you can tap into these services temporarily or permanently. It gives residents more options to age successfully, and so the more that residents are informed, the better. Although I've been in this business for 24 years, and I still have questions about all these service lines. It's complicated, and that's why residents have a management company like Matt and I and the team to help people, not just Matt and I, but a team of people to help residents navigate to things that they should be considering temporarily or permanently to age successfully. So in the interim, while we're starting to gear up for these navigation chats, I would just ask people to take a deep breath and lean on the team, lean on us to help educate you, work with you on determining, if at any, or a combination of any of these, what you might be considering or should consider in order to age successfully. Lean more on the team, the Ann Hoppers of the world, the Kathy Morans of the world, the neighborhood leaders or the clinical leaders to help you put the puzzle together, because the puzzle of what you may need today might be different next week or it might be different next month. And we all know that aging successfully is not easy, but it does require purposefully connecting people with those service levels. So I think these chats will help over time dismay rumor and help educate and be proud of what we actually have at Cedarfield. The walk to Alzheimer's, we are, if you haven't heard, mark your calendars. November 5th at 9 o'clock is a Friday. We have a committee of residents and team members that have chosen to do a Cedarfield walk this year, compared to going over to Innsbrook and doing a community walk. There will be 3 walks on that particular day. And so those 3 walks will include different abilities for team members and residents. There'll be a fundraising letter that will go out on October 18th with more information of how you can support the cause. So lots of information to come up in the next couple of weeks as we gear up to support one of our strategic partners. One more side item for me, but a main item before Matt comes up here and talks a little bit about healthcare. The Cedar Chest. The Cedar Chest has been a staple at Cedar Field for a long, long time, and the Cedar Chest is looking for some new volunteers, particularly those who would like to take maybe a little bit more of a leadership role in the Cedar Chest. The Cedar Chest it's a wonderful part of Cedar Field for team members, families, and residents. For those of you that don't know, it's basically a resale shop located in the main building here on the 2nd floor. Residents donate clothing, housewares, and those donations are then turned around and sold to team members or fellow residents. But the most important thing about the whole thing, beyond just resident engagement, the proceeds stay right here at Cedar Field and they go right to the Samaritan program to help residents in need if residents get caught in any financial situations in life. So if you are thinking that you have a couple of hours or maybe a half hour a week free and you want to help this legacy area of Cedar Field, contact Allison and Zach. We're looking for a couple other people to really make sure that the Cedar Chest continues to live on for another 25 years. So Matt Dameron is next up here with some information about our licensed side of the community, and then I'll come back with some more tidbits in administration, and then we have Trish Carter here for some spiritual well-being.
Good afternoon, everyone. Like Michael said, my name is Matt Dameron. I serve as the Associate Executive Director here at Cedar Field, and what I have learned today is don't let Michael go first because he steals everything from my list. But it's a good thing. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Like Medicare, jet, new books, lavender related. I added a couple of things though.
You want to take some of the things off?
No. So I'm not going to harp on a couple of things that he just addressed, but one with the healthcare navigation. I did promise a couple of residents over the last week that I would mention this on the live chat and kind of what our plan is. I've had quite a few residents, specifically from independent living, and family members inquiring about Medicare and how that is going to affect our resident population, what that means. So again, that kind of plays into what Michael was just talking about having these little sessions where we talk about the navigation process. And one that I definitely want to make sure we cover is Medicare and our Medicare household that will be coming online at some point next year. I did a presentation about this earlier this year with the men's group. And then another presentation a couple of months later with the Health Services Committee, specifically talking about just kind of general overview of Medicare and what that looks like, and kind of the differences between that and what we do now. And I know that the Communications Committee has also brought that up as well. So I'm looking forward to that chat specifically, in addition to the other ones, so that we can really kind of give you all of that information and also take any questions that you might have, because it, as you know, Michael was talking about, it can be very confusing. We have a lot of options here at Cedar Field, which are great, but it can be a little confusing. So having that time to talk about it is really important. It's going to talk about Morning Glory and our new cooks over there. Cassandra Farmer actually started with us 2 weeks ago, and then Nicole Lambert started with us today. So that kind of rounds out our cooks over in Morning Glory, which have been much needed in that neighborhood. And Cassandra's been doing a great job so far, and she actually has worked with Nicole for 10 years in the past. So we're looking forward to that relationship there. And we're also still looking for a part-time lifestyles assistant position in Morning Glory as well. So we have Erin Chauncey, who is our recreation therapist, who is absolutely wonderful. But she's one person and can't work 7 days a week. So we're looking for another person to kind of help round out that neighborhood, to really have someone that is dedicated to just focusing on programming 7 days a week. So we're hopeful that we can get that position filled here pretty soon. Just a couple other items. Healthcare dining, the dining room that is currently serving our 3 healthcare households. That was an area that was unfortunately hit pretty hard by this staffing pandemic that we're in. So we're kind of making ends meet right now while we hire more people. As Michael mentioned, we do have a couple of people coming for Lavender Lane, which is one of our healthcare households, as 2 cooks in that household, knock on wood, that they will be starting with us here pretty soon. So that will definitely help us out in that arena here very soon. And in the interim, we're kind of covering and filling in shifts with some other people to make sure that we still have a really good dining experience in our healthcare household. So bear with us. We do see the light at the end of the tunnel with in regards to that. Lavender Lane is moving. That household is run by Katie Zolkowski, who has been with Cedarfield for over 13 years now, and George Lawson, who is the clinical leader that just started with us just about a month or so ago. Katie and Lori Andrews, our move-in coordinator, have been meeting with the families and planning out to a T how we're going to move all of those residents over to the new building. So that will be happening on Monday, November 8th. We're very excited about that. We've confirmed that with these latest construction meetings that we've been on. So November 8th is the date for them, and they will be permanently relocating to the 5th floor of that new household building. So again, really looking forward to that and truly having that household model take shape up there on that 5th floor. The last thing that I'll mention is Tamika Ross, our new director of nursing. Well, she's not new. She's been here with us since June now. Has been working with Connie McGowan, our infection control nurse and education nurse. And Connie has really taken the lead on getting an action team of people together to reinvent our orientation process for our nursing team members, our CNAs, our LPNs, our RNs, because as we all know, it's very difficult to recruit people right now, but we also have to really concentrate on retaining them. So they have reinvented our orientation process specifically for the nursing department. So people will go through the normal general orientation and then be turned over to Connie and a few of our leaders to take on a week-long training to really get to know the ins and outs of all the systems in Morning Glory, assisted living, and our 3 healthcare households, so that they have a much better onboarding process, feel much more comfortable being here and providing the services the way that we do them here at Cedarfield to hopefully also help with that retention rate as well. So we will be firing that up with our next round of orientations, which is 2 weeks from today. So that's another program we're really excited about rolling out. And that is it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you. I just want to give another thank you to residents and team members. We really had an extraordinary 25th anniversary celebration. It was just, it was a lot of fun planning it. And it seems like the majority of people had a great time. This music festival. We chose a festival theme because Richmond is really known for its festivals. And that music festival that we had with 9 artists stretched across 8.5 hours, different stages. A couple of residents have asked if we could do it monthly. So we're going to put Eldon Rucker in charge of that planning, and but it was a good time. Thank you, everybody, for your kind comments. Those of you that had indifferent comments, such as it looked like Disney World. Michael, you can take your children down to Florida. All these balloons weren't necessary. It looked very juvenile. Those other type of comments, all that feedback is important. And we are going to meet one more time as a committee and talk about that event and document the strengths of the event. What would we do different next time? Because we do have intentions to actually make it an annual event now, some type of festival, a music festival in September. Maybe use different parts of the court and the lane. Next year, hopefully next year, we're well beyond this pandemic and we can invite families and grandchildren, etc. So anybody else has any feedback about the festival? We're wide open for suggestions about how to make it better for next time. I want to plant this little seed called Align Senior Care, ALIGN, Align Senior Care. It's a company that actually was formed right here in Richmond, and it's a Medicare, a managed care Medicare company. And so we've been talking with them, local management here, along with the Pinnacle Living Office management team has been talking with them over the last couple of months. And they have a very good track record around the United States now. They've been in business for several years, and we have chosen to partner with them, Align Senior Care. I'm going to summarize Align Senior Care and having a managed care Medicare partner on the property in the kind of the 5 following ways. One, they're able to provide a little bit more collaborative clinical partnership with the team, with Tamika and the nurses up there. Probably the most important is it's preventative. They work with the residents and the management at the local level, and they tailor their managed care plan to be more preventative using the Medicare dollar. They have a great comprehensive care coordination plan centered around a nurse practitioner, which is ideal. We have had the pleasure of having a nurse practitioner care coordination here at Cedarfield for the last 4 years. They really assist with transitions. So as residents transition from one level of care or transition from different services, they have a great system and people behind the system to help with those transitions. And they, kind of the fifth point to round things out is they pride themselves on a centralized approach so that residents who are credentialed with them have one point of contact through that plan, and then that coordinator helps work with, like in this case, the Cedarfield management team. So we all know that November we have to pick our insurance plans and work with either Medicare and or other managed care plans. So this is a Medicare managed care plan. It's called Align Senior Care. Great track record. This is not obviously mandatory, but we are going to go through a orientation with them over the next couple of weeks as November rolls around and residents have choice to switch plans, particularly families that are listening tonight, particularly for you, if you have a loved one and or residents that are listening to this that are living up on the 4th floor right now, healthcare. The plans are very tailored to a healthcare setting and or a memory support assisted living setting. And so we're going to have Cedarfield champions, which are team members. They're not licensed to sell insurance product, but they will be champions of the information and how to get families or residents to the right particular person at Align. So I am very excited about this. Particularly because we're able to tailor the plan with them on behalf of the residents that we serve. And so if you've been thinking about changing providers and have a little interest in what the plan looks like with Align Senior Care, stay tuned. Lots of information will be coming out towards the tail end of this month. A little bit of sad news. Those of you that know my boss, his name is Dan Etzel. He's the Chief Operating Officer for Pinnacle Living. He has been in this field for 45 years. Just a wonderful leader. More importantly, just a great human being. He's been a great mentor to me. He is retiring as of this week. So those of you that know Dan, I would encourage you to reach out to the Pinnacle office, write him a letter, a thank you note, a phone call. I know it would go a long way for him. He's kind of, although he wants to retire, he's got 1 foot in, 1 foot out. So he's going to be with Pinnacle Living until January, helping Chris Henderson with a couple of projects. I know I will miss him dearly. They have a replacement for him. His name is Dan Nyman. There's a letter that will be coming out to the residents probably by the end of the week in your cubby box and or your mailbox, making this formal announcement in a letter format. But did want residents to know that today. Couple of follow-up items for me. The pool is due to open on Mr. Rucker's shaking right now because the pool is opening on Monday. So can I get an amen? Amen. Thank the Lord. So one project out of how many that has been on time, although it's a warranty item. So again, apologize for the inconvenience, but the pool, all that scaffolding is down in the pool. Scott and Jack have been working night and day here for the last couple of days, making sure the water is back to its normal condition. I think we turned on the heater this morning, and so by Monday morning, we should have a pool ready to go. Cellular phone, another hot topic at Cedarfield. Cellular phones are often, the signal is often dropped, no matter if you're on the 1st floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor. I think I have a hunch it's because of the expansion that we've gone through here. We've added on D-Wing, added on a new wellness building in the courtyard, a household building. I think it has a lot to do with the bricks and mortar. Probably we'll never know, but give people a little update. T-Mobile did come on property 2 weeks ago to collect our data, and they are responsible for a report back to us next Friday with cost projections of what they think might be able to fix the situation. That's T-Mobile, and a lot of people don't have that particular service. Verizon went through a little bit of a restructuring in this area over the last couple of weeks. So we finally got a hold of the person who would be helping us with this particular analysis last week. And Mark Collins, our IT director, has a date scheduled with this person early part of next week for that person to come out and visit and draw up a report on what they believe would be the remedy to this situation. And so we're working on that issue. Comcast did come out, so I'm shifting to Comcast TV. They did come out 2 weeks ago. It seems like they have fixed again the issue of toggling between 971, 2, or 3 and or back to your main channels. So the calls have dropped significantly to Gloria. If anybody's still experiencing any issues, please call Eldon Rucker or Jack Johnson, and Jack can, not to make light of it, because I know it's annoying when you jump onto channel 972 and you can't get back to your channel to watch your regular programming. So, but they believe that they have fixed the issue, and we're tracking that for a successful outcome going out 30 days. We did, I think I made this announcement 2 weeks ago, we have worked with the Board of Elections to understand their protocol, and we are continuing with our announcement that we made in the summertime that we're going to be a voting site for the region here. We're going to do it in the county has their particular protocol for when people come onto the property, particularly inside of this fellowship hall, and then Cedarfield Management's going to layer in a couple of other items outside of the fellowship hall to give people a comfort level that it's a safe place. And so Florence and I, Tamika, Ann Hopper, your COVID-19 preparedness team have contemplated it, and we believe that we're going to do it in a very safe way. And so we'll update about that. And last update, for those of you that live in D-Wing, we are working with 2 electricians to help us review our current generator to make sure that current generator has the electrical load to maybe tie in that building to that generator or head in a completely other direction. I know we made this announcement what is probably 2 months ago, that we are supporting the D-Wing residents and wanting to get a generator out there. This is a small project compared to a lot of the work that electricians have right now in the surrounding area. And so we have 2 electricians that we're targeting to come, and we're hopeful that they'll come due to their scheduled appointment here in the next 7 days. So more information to come about that. The delay, I guess this is another gossip squashing moment. Because we don't see action in a generator already tied to D-Wing doesn't mean that it's not on our radar screen. It just means that this is a really small project for an electrician compared to the amount of projects and margins that they have available to them in the construction world right now. So, does anybody have any questions? Any other questions, Allison? No. Mrs. Fiske? Mrs. Fiske has one question.
About 2 years ago, I had to buy a new car. I could not buy an electric car. I had to buy a car that uses gasoline. I drove out to Avery Point. They already have 2 electric chargers. I believe Cedarfield needs to consider installing electric chargers and meet the future needs of electric cars.
Mrs. Fiske's comment here, if you didn't hear that through the microphone, has to do with, and it's not just Avery Point, there's several retirement communities that have charging stations already at their communities in preparation today's resident or the future resident having electric cars and the capacity to charge those cars. And so just one little brief comment, it's on our to-do list. Allison and I have been working with Dominion Energy. There's actually some grants out there that are available for nonprofits, and we're working with Dominion Energy to find out what the process is to maybe fund it and not have to use our capital money for it. So, okay, I'm going to call up. Yes, Mrs. Bailey.
I have a question. This pertains to VACRA. Our VACRA committee here at Cedarfield is interested in how we can participate in some decision-making processes that directly affect us as residents. And as you know, we have been talking about resident representation on the Pinnacle Board because they're 55% of the CCRCs in this country have resident participations. Would you like to comment on that? Give us your opinion on that? Whether or not residents should participate on our governing board?
If you're asking, so the question from Mrs. Bailey is VACRA, which we have as representation through the resident council. In my opinion, do we need representation of a resident on the Pinnacle Living Board? If you're asking me that question, I don't believe we do. I believe that Cedarfield has and will continue to have a very open, transparent communication with the resident. This is actually one of those times of transparency where we actually have a weekly call with the residents or meeting. In my humble opinion, I believe that we have opportunity for residents to be really engaged in shaping Cedarfield. And so in my humble opinion, if you're asking me, I don't believe we need a resident at a board level with voting rights to make decisions. Yeah. So I believe we have a very transparent community here, and residents are heavily involved. We have how many committees do we have on the resident council?
13.
We have 13 resident committees, and most of those committees meet every month. Some of them meet quarterly, some of them meet twice a year. Some person of management's usually represented at each of those meetings. And so, even shaping our 5-year capital plan, the finance committee is at the helm of listening to James and I about what the finance committee or other subcommittees need or think we need going out 5 years. So that's my opinion on the matter. Mrs. Woods?
Yes, is anything in writing available to the residents of Cedarfield about why the increase of the rent was done this last year? People presented as 4.5%, 5% increase. And generally, our understanding is people do not understand why it increased to that extent, and that they don't understand there's been an answer to their question about the increase.
So the last question here from Mrs. Woods has to do with, is there an explanation as to why residents had a 4% increase in their fee? I'm sorry? 4.8% increase in their fee from last year. And James Green does have a PowerPoint presentation. He stood here on the beginning of May, end of April last year, and spent 45 minutes explaining that 4.8%.
Reduced
And
writing for us?
anybody can have that PowerPoint presentation, sure. Contact James.
You're saying PowerPoint?
It had a PowerPoint that showed bullet points of explanation.
Reduced to writing so we can have it as a handout.
He has a PowerPoint presentation. That would probably be the easiest thing to do at this point. that shows bullet point narrative information.
Watch it somewhere? I'm not following you.
If you need for someone to help you watch it, I would encourage you to contact.
We would need it reduced to writing because people are asking for the information and we can't ask them to go watch it.
The question is, can we watch a PowerPoint? And my suggestion is the PowerPoint.
The question is, can it be reduced to writing so it can be used as a tool for the residents of Cedarville?
James Green has a lot of work to do right now, and to go backwards in time to put a narrative together. His PowerPoint presentation is in bullet point format. It's got great explanation as to why it was a 4.8% increase.
How is it
And
watched?
so, I'm sorry.
How is it watched?
His presentation was presented here live.
So he will present it again?
He has done it every year for the last 5 years since he's been here. Yep.
When will he do it again?
In the beginning of May. He'll do it again in the beginning of May.
Of next year?
Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Trish Carter for some spiritual words of well-being.
Good afternoon, Cedarfield. My name is Trish Carter, and it is my pleasure to serve Cedarfield as chaplain. I want to share with you that today we had a pet blessing here in this room where we heard lots of dogs just having a joyous time. I think we had 55 people in the room and only 10 dogs. So if that doesn't tell us something about the hunger to connect with pets, I don't know what does. It was a wonderful time. At the beginning of this meeting, some of you probably couldn't hear it over the live stream, but right in our fireplace, it sounded like we had a latecomer to our pet blessing. There was a crow or some other bird trying to get our attention. Just wanted you to know those things. I'm not going to keep you long. We're at the end of a long live stream. I just wanted to share with you a challenge for the rest of the week. One where I wonder if we realize how often we find what it is we are looking for. For example, if you decided that you wanted to look for something wrong, it would not take very much time before you found lots and lots of evidence to support that. If you wanted to look for something to be angry about or to complain about, I can tell you firsthand that it's not very difficult to look for something like that to do. The same is true when we put on a lens of gratitude. I wonder how our world can change within ourselves if we look at each day with a lens of gratitude. I shared with our orientation group today this exercise in which we talked about the difference between looking at something with gratitude and just looking at it. And the example I shared was how disgruntled I can be if I come home and find a sink full of dirty dishes. It used to make me just crazy. And when I decided that I didn't like the way that I responded to that, I decided to give it a chance and look at it with the lens of gratitude. And now, the difference is this. When I see the sink full of dirty dishes, I think first, I'm so grateful to have a home. I'm so grateful to have food to put on the dishes to get them dirty. I'm so grateful to have children in my life who make those dishes so dirty. I'm so grateful to have running water and a sink to wash them in. And when I have tried this exercise on, and it's taken me some time, I am pleased to report the difference it makes. Now I look out the window in our backyard, which is lovely, and while I'm washing the dishes, something has changed. when I remind myself of all of the reasons I have to be grateful even for the sink of dirty dishes, by the time they're all washed, I have been changed. Now, I know that might sound like a silly exercise, but just choosing one part of your life that is just making you feel disgruntled. And if you're lucky, you only have one. I have lots, as I imagine you do as well. But the challenge is to choose just one area in your life where you find that you are disgruntled, and put on a lens of gratitude and see how far that takes you. I wish you all well.
Thank you, Trish.